So that's going over there. Get the recording here. Hey, good morning, Misfits. How are you? It is Sunday, February 22nd, 23rd, 2020. 2000, and that's muted over there, 2020. Today is a continuation of questions that awaken from a download I had Friday night. So we're going to continue on that. But first, since we've got just a small handful of amazing souls, I'd like to see if there's any questions out there, any ahas. Make sure you go out and send your 3 messages of joy, of love, of gratitude out. I got a few messages this morning, made my heart giggle. I love that. Anybody have any questions or ahas this morning since going over yesterday's conversation? Good morning, Ralph. Good morning, Misfits. Good morning, Javella. Okay, I'll just dive in reading some more questions. Okay, so that was Harriet. That was this. We got over to here. Okay, so I ended yesterday with kind of a big one. Tell me or describe to me what it would feel like to be in movement inside a bigger stillness. That's a deep question. But what would the stillness be like that you're already operating in? That's why this moment that you slow down, the moment that you take a breath, the moment you begin to hear your heartbeat and hear yourself slow down, you're in this greater stillness. You're just movement. We're all just movement inside this bigger stillness. Right? You've all experienced it. You've sat quietly and watched a sunrise or a sunset or the moon or something. You've sat and watched a loved one, a child breathing and sleeping. And this bigger stillness, all of a sudden, you became aware of almost everything. Everything important. What would infinite possibility feel like? In this moment, you have a choice, joy or misery, in this moment. The moments that are about to come, the moments that are about to show up, the moments that are about to arrive with you, to you, through you, are infinite possibility and an unlimited potential. What would that feel like if you began to realize that, if you began to get into this moment and realize that nobody has ever lived the future they imagined? Think about that for a second. Nobody has ever lived the future they've imagined. They've desired it, they've wanted it, they've thought it was pretty cool, but the question remains, have you ever lived the future you imagined? Have you ever lived the past that you are experiencing now? Now you have memories, but there's emotions that when you get back into them, you may see things differently. You may feel things differently. And when you've made the decision of infinite possibility, you can even change the feelings of the past memories. Awakening to your own self. How much of your love is based on the need for trust? How much of love that you have in your life is based on trust? You trust that they love you. Or you know. Right? When Michael Jordan, I read somewhere, Michael Jordan said the phrase, once I made the decision, I never had to think about it again. What's the loves in your life that you don't have to think about? There's a handful of them. And you decide when you add to those and when you decide you take away from that list, because people have changed who they are. You've changed who you are. If you're in the knowing, do you need trust? Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Send out your 3 messages this morning. Great to have you all here. Appreciate you all. Thank you for the comments people are making. It's funny. I feel I feel like a star when I read comments on the YouTube channel and people liking stuff over there. Makes me like a little kid. I'll tell Michelle or Mason, and Mason's like, you got 4 likes on a video, dude. That's like 4 more than before. So anyways, thank you everybody for going over there and making some comments and likes. What does enlightened mean to you? What does enlightened mean to you? How far away are you from it? What decision do you have to make to achieve it? What would need to change in your life to experience it? You've had some great ideas. You've had some connection with this. You've been in touch with that part of the universe, that part of the realm, that realm of the world of being enlightened. Gisela, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It means clarity. But anytime we give it a tag, anytime we give it an identity, isn't that a human feature? Isn't that a human description, a worldly description? It's beyond clarity. Clarity means that you were confused before. Enlightened, there is no clarity. There just is. My interpretation, trying to challenge the way we look at things so we can look at them differently. But you can be clear. You can have your day lined out perfectly. And you can be clear of what you'll do, clear of how you'll do it. And we might just be short of enlightenment. I love that you said it, though. I love that you shared that. We give these identifications, we give these tags, right? We look at Monique and we look at this and we say that this beautiful, amazing soul with hair that stands up all the time. Those are all descriptions. When you hear her heart, when she gets into her state, when she speaks about Gabby, that's venturing into the enlightened world. When words come to you, thoughts come to you, feelings come to you, when you become emotionally charged, you're becoming enlightened because you're losing yourself. How much? Oh, this one gets me. How much of your day, listen carefully, you may want to write this one down. How much of your day is spent in what if? How much of your day is spent in what if? And if, as Steph says, too much of your day is spent in what if, what now? If is only a future now. So I'd be more concerned about the now instead of what if. I'd say what now? Because the if is unlimited possibility. If is you trying to decide, trying to discern it, trying to ask it. Yes, Brittnee, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. So this morning, as I woke up, as I was in between consciousness, this unconsciousness, I was thinking about like all of these things. So I just recently came from a place of like financial strain, and I dug myself out of that place. But today I found myself, I really don't want to say worrying, but I was just asking myself all of these questions. How am I going to maintain? How am I going to generate more? How am I going to sustain? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm trying to like stop myself from doing that. Is that on topic? I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Listen, if anything shows up here, be aware. And I say this to everyone. If anything shows up on this call, it's meant to be. It's just, it's there for some positive reason. So I just want your subconscious to hear that. So rather than the how, because the how always changes, what's the why? And maybe if you asked, why would I want to be maintaining? But see, in maintaining and protecting, we can lose everything.
Right.
So then going back to Noah St. John and asking the question, why am I so good at increasing my financial stability? Why am I so good at increasing this? What makes me so good to have more? What skill or talent am I using today to increase my income, to increase my value to the world? What message do I need to hear, right? The three questions at night. What I do well, what could I do better? What resource or contact needs to come into my life to help me have more, do more, be more? So right now you've reached a certain level and you want to take it to the next level. What resource do you need? What talent do you need? Well, who do you need to come into your life to help you increase that so you can do more, be more? Because when you ask the questions, how, the mind only has the answers of, well, you got lucky this time.
Right. Right. That's literally how I feel.
Yep. You got lucky this time. I don't know if you could do it again. I don't know. I'm not even sure how we got here. And because the how is, you're asking the how for a future, and there's no how in the future. There's only desire in the future, and there's only now in the future. And if you're in that state now, guess what the next state is going to have built into it? Fear and doubt. And if you're in fear and doubt, if you're in fear and doubt in this now, guess what the next now has? This is why it's so simple, right? It's so easy to do, to play a song that you love, to get a jam on that gets your heart going, get your feelings going, get you excited. It's so easy to send out messages, 3 messages, 4 messages, 50 messages of love to people that you care about, to change your state. Because if the law of attraction is working, and it is constantly in your waking moments, in your sleeping moments, if the law of attraction is working, and it always is, guess what you're attracting right now? And then you don't want to attract that. I don't want to attract fear. I don't want to attract doubt. But in the next moment, in the next breath, when you stop saying, I don't want that, the universe doesn't hear the don't. It says, I want fear. I want doubt. And you bring it in, and the universe is going, I'm giving you what you're asking for.
Right. Right.
And then you get on a call like this and you ask a great question and you hear the simple solution. The brain goes, yeah, but has that really worked? And then you got to remember, you got yourself out of the first financial situation, and you're sitting here now with the solution in hand. You've already done it. Yeah. Why do you doubt your capability, your capacity?
I don't know. That's literally what I was like. This is what the subconscious, this is how the mind plays with you. Right.
This is the old story. You haven't owned the new story. You haven't taken it in. You think somebody else did it. Say, I did it.
I did.
Say, I did it.
I believe that I did it.
No. You're not listening to me. Look at how the enemy is trying to give you 17 different ways to just repeat what I'm saying. Say, I did it.
I did it.
There you go. Now, how does that feel? Fear and doubt, doesn't it?
Empowering.
Well, it does it. Be clear. I'm not saying it doesn't. But when you said, well, I believe I did it. No. You did it.
I did it.
Look at the fruit of your labor right now. It's there. Now, the question is you're questioning, can I do it again? You ever ride a bike?
Yeah, but this is the thing. I have, because I've done it multiple times. And now I'm beginning to question, like, okay, what lesson am I to learn from this? Because I've been in this situation probably for this extreme of a situation. Mm-hmm. Probably about 4 times in my adult life.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. I was
so what changes? So what changes when you reach this? When you reach this pinnacle 4 times in the past? What changed in your life?
In my life, or how I approach these situations?
Sure. What changed? What were the changes? So all of a sudden, when you reach the financial freedom of the moment, would that be fair to say it? When you reach the financial freedom of the moment, what did you stop doing? What changes happened?
None.
Didn't you stop worrying for a moment?
For a moment.
So guess what happens? As soon as you stop worrying, the universe starts to conspire again, because there's a stronger idea inside of you, a stronger ideal inside of you that says, unless you're worrying, you're not Brittnee.
Right.
So guess what the universe figures out?
How to make me worry?
Yep. And so then you repeat this cycle. But I don't want to worry. This is happening at a subconscious level. You make a conscious decision to step out, and the subconscious goes, don't worry. She's done this 3 times before. We'll do it again.
I know. How do I break the cycle?
You love this moment. You've never fallen in love with this moment. Your old story is so good, it doesn't know how to tell the new story.
Do you think that maybe I am subconsciously creating these situations for myself so I can dig myself out and say, hey, look how resourceful I am, or look how good I am about.
What do you think? That's a pretty good answer you came up with. What would happen if you didn't have to dig yourself out of a hole anymore?
Consistent, I don't want to say happiness, but like consistent peace, I guess.
And what would consistent peace be to you?
Being able to circulate money as I please, in the amount that I please.
And if you circulated money as you please, and the amount that you please, what would that feel like?
Responsible.
And if you were responsible, what would that feel like?
Like growth and maturity.
And if you had growth and maturity and responsibility and the freedom to do things in a financial world, that you didn't have to dig yourself out again, if you had all of that freedom and all of that joy and all of that responsibility that was at a click of your fingers, what would that feel like?
I want to say that would feel like myself.
Okay. So if you started to feel like yourself, what does yourself feel like? What does the core of you feel like?
Free.
And so why do you choose?
Free flowing. I'll say that.
Why do you choose to stop the flow then? Why does the universe bring you
poor decisions? Lack of.
Yeah, but why do you make them? If your desire is free, but so why do you make them? They're there right now. The decisions you made for joy and the decisions you made for lack of freedom are always in the same moment. So if your core is free, if your core is joy, so what if you were in freedom and if you were in joy and if you were at your highest potential, how would you think about yourself? What feeling would you be in with yourself?
If I were at joy and freedom, I would feel, I think I want to say that I will feel good, but for some reason they're like, I don't know, these other things start popping up in my head, like, okay, I may be joy and free, but like my mom's not joy and free, my friends aren't joy and free. Like,
so how much of their joy and freedom do they have to require you to be in joy and freedom?
I don't, and maybe I'm just very contradicting, because on one hand, I'm like, I'm not responsible for you. But on the other hand, I'm like, okay, I have to do this so I can help you. So, but if they're resistant to the help, I'm like, all right. So that's on you.
Here's a key phrase that was taught to me. You can be responsible to them, but not for them.
Right.
So let me ask you, when's the last time you were in love with yourself?
Yeah, that's crazy, because I was thinking about that literally like right before this call. And
what would it be like to be in love with yourself?
I want to say I was in love with myself. It's been completely since 2018
Okay.
minimum.
So that's when so from 2018 to now, you've been in love with yourself, or
No, I have not.
you have not? Okay. So if you're not in love with yourself, don't you think you'd like to have breakups all the time?
Right?
So don't you break up with money and you find a way to argue with it and get frustrated with it, and then you fall back in like with it, and you go through this cycle?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you spend some time learning what it's like to fall back in love with Brittnee?
Which I have been doing. And you know what? Like, I was trying to tell myself, like, when I was going through the financial strain, I was trying to tell myself, like, look, it's not about, because I don't feel like myself when I'm in a strain. Like, I don't feel attractive. Like, I'm like, okay, my hair is not done, my nails aren't done, my feet, what I have on, what I'm driving, where I'm able to go eat. Like, none of this is how I express myself.
All right.
And if I have a lack of resource, which is money, I'm not able to do that. And I'm like, okay, but even though I'm not able to do that, I still am myself. Like, I can still, and it was crazy because I would hang out with some friends like from time to time just to get myself out of the funk. And I'm just like, oh shit, like they still like me. Like, you know, like, or I'm still able to have fun. Like, it was crazy. But in the back of my mind, I would still be like, this is bad. Like, you shouldn't be doing this because
So stop
you,
right now. Stop there for a second. Who told you all of this? I'd ask, who's telling you all of this? Because if you want to be in love, aren't you in love in every moment?
absolutely,
So then why do you choose to get out of love? Who's telling you to get out of love?
myself, because when I'm
No, no, no,
irresponsible,
no. That's a story you're telling yourself.
okay,
You wouldn't tell you to get out of love. Somebody else is telling you to get out of love. Some other ideal, some other mindset. It's you, the body, but there's another story that's saying you don't deserve this. And if I told you you don't deserve this, would that phrase take you out of love with yourself?
potentially, yes.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
Because you're not
Is
in
it not
love.
strong enough?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I'd start working on you. What did you put in your journal yesterday?
I did not journal yesterday,
Well,
but
there's a clue.
well, I didn't actually journal. I wrote down notes on my whiteboard from your call, and I wrote, and it's crazy because this is the second time that grace and mercy has come up on these calls, because that's what Rhonda was talking to me about. And I thought about grace and mercy in the idea of someone else. I need to think about grace and mercy for myself,
Mm-hmm.
which I never felt like I had a problem with, though. I thought that I was always very shameless, always very unembarrassed, always very forgiving of myself. And I think that may have allowed me to continue to do the same things over and over, because I wasn't stern enough with myself, maybe, like, because it's like I wrote it off, but I wrote it off to forgive myself, but I wrote it off as a passive way to say, you can continue like this. I didn't forgive myself for the right things. I don't know. Is this making sense?
So what's the story behind Brittnee?
I don't know.
That's why you're confused.
Yeah.
You have a story. What's the story behind it? What's your vision statement? What's your mission statement? What's your biggest desire in today? Today is the 23rd of February, 2020. What's your desire for today?
To make money.
Okay, why?
So that I can make more money.
So that you can what?
Make more money.
Okay. So why do you want to make more money? Money has no
So
value. I could give you a check for $1 million and it has no value till you do what with it?
spend it.
So you're going to make money. You're going to make more money. Do you realize you haven't spent any of it yet? In this desire, in this conversation, in the last 30 seconds, you haven't spent any of it yet.
Correct.
There's so much of your life you haven't spent yet. So why are you want to make money? You suck with money. You just told us that. 2 times in a row, you suck with money. You make it, you lose it. Why would you even want to go make something you're going to lose again?
Right? Why would I want to do that?
Right. So,
Because
but why are you telling me a fib? I don't want to call it a
well,
lie. Why are you
that's
telling me a fib?
that's what was on my mind
You
though.
don't want to make money. What do you want to make? What do you want to have today?
Customers,
N-
because I
You don't
wanted
want
to.
customers. You've lost customers before. You don't want customers. What do you want? You're trying to come up with a logical answer. Move from your head into your heart. I'm going to,
Okay. Yeah, you know what? That's how do you know that my head is literally hurting right now? Because I'm like,
yes,
I'm
it is.
thinking too hard.
Because it's trying to come up with an answer and it's finally found somebody that's stronger than it, that's challenging it with love from a place of pure love.
Yeah.
You can come up with all of the great answers that gets somebody who's not in love goes, oh yeah, that's a great thought. I'm not after thought. What do you want today?
Peace.
And what would peace look like to you today?
Like, what would it literally look like?
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now I'm sitting on my couch with incense on, drinking tea, on the call, developing myself, and on the computer, developing my business so that
So we're going to go on this path because there's a word that's going to need to flow out of your heart, and it's not done it yet. So why would you want to develop anything? Why would you want to develop this
to
external
be
source?
better.
To be better, to do what?
I don't know.
I know, but you do. That's your brain talking. Let your heart speak for a second. Sit
I
quiet.
don't know if I've ever allowed that before. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't want to say I'm trying
Oh, but
because
you
I'm
are.
not really trying. I'm not.
You are. Well,
Because
you
every
are.
time you say let your heart do it, I don't let my heart do it. I go back to my brain, which is what I've always done in literally my whole life, all of my relationships, romantic relationships, everything. I always lead with my head,
Yep.
not
How's that working
necessarily
for
with
you?
my heart.
How's that working for you?
Um,
Yeah, not so good. Let's move on. So right now you're sitting there looking at peace. You have every element around you to be at peace, but yet you are so far from peace, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
So you have all of the words. What's the feeling? What feeling, if you had to describe the feeling in one word, what would it feel like?
Conflict.
So that's not peace. So how do we get out of conflict? What would conflict? So, and the conflict is between your head and your heart right now.
Right.
It's between the story that you're afraid to tell and the story that you've told everybody else. So now, in this moment, sitting on your couch with your tea and the incense, can you just take a big breath for a second? And can you breathe in the environment? Just a big breath in and a nice deep exhale. Was there conflict in that breath?
No.
So if there's no conflict in that breath in this moment, can we do that again? Let's take another big breath and just experience the moment. Feel the couch, smell the incense, hear the little noises that are in the background. And in the exhale, you're going to exhale conflict. I want you to take another breath. I want you to inhale confidence and exhale conflict. On the next breath, I want you to inhale creativity and exhale conflict. What's the feeling that's running through your body at this moment?
Well, my head feels lighter.
Your head feels lighter because you've taken the
Yeah.
burden away from it trying to come up with an answer that it can't come up with. Your brain can't come up with the answer that you're looking for. It never has. It's always
It
been,
never has.
it's never has. It's always been a clue from your heart that it's used the outside world to give it reference points, to give it handles to hold on to. And the challenge is those handles were made out of very weak timber because it was consciousness, because it was facts, and facts change. Facts will always change when we look at them differently. What will never change is your heart, your desire to help people, your desire to be one of glory, one of God's gifts to the world. But somewhere a long time ago, you were told you're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not tall enough. You're not dark enough. You're not light enough. Your hair isn't curly enough. It's too straight. You were told so many things that you are not, that you've been able to think a wall around you that has protected you and guarded you. It is your armor. Your ability, your capacity to outthink somebody is your armor, because when you meet somebody that can
Wow.
when you meet somebody that can outlove you, your armor, there is no armor around you. There's no reason for you to be letting me have this conversation with you right now. Only because the armor that is inside of you, the love that is inside of you is screaming, saying, this is, we can have this conversation. Because we're not, listen, you want to have a battle of wits? I ain't that good. But when you want to get to clarity, when you want to get to confirmation of your commitment to life, to live in peace, all I do is show up in love. The outside audience may hear it going, oh my God, he's being like rough with her. I'm having a conversation with your thoughts. You're tougher than this. You're stronger than this. You're more loving than this. And take another big breath in. Exhale fear and doubt, and tell me how your body's feeling.
I'm crying.
That's what I was waiting for. Because now I'm talking to Brittnee. Now I'm talking to the little 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old who thought life and believed life was this absolute joy. And somewhere along the way, you became taller than everybody else. You became prettier than everybody else. And everybody found a way to knock you down. And you had to think your way out of this stuff because you were told it wasn't okay to love. Women who love get hurt. You've been hurt more than any woman who loves because you never got to the love. I love you. I love you. I'm here with you. Everybody on this call is here with you. They're sitting there holding you up right now, sending you tremendous energy right now because they love you. They don't even know you, but we do love you. And here's the part. When somebody loves you, you've thought your way out of that relationship 1,001 times.
That's so true.
Listen, you're this beautiful girl. You're this beautiful woman. You're this amazing soul. You're arm candy. You're all of the things. You're all of the things that you've worked hard to sit up into a world that allows you to be. Listen, I know this is going to sound crazy, but you may be amazing making love, but I don't know if you've ever been present. So
Yeah.
all I'm saying is that in this moment, I want Brittnee to fall in love with Brittnee, not anyone else, not anything else. You've set up an environment where you've got incense going, you've got tea going, you've got all of the things that say, these are things I do because I love myself. Say those words for me. I love myself.
I love myself.
And I'm going to ask you to say those quietly as often as you can as we sit here in silence for a second. What would that truly mean? I love myself. I'd ask all of you to ask that question. I love myself. I love myself. I love everything about me. I love my bumps and bruises, my warts and scars. I love everything about me. And when you fall in love with you, I fall in love with you.
Right.
There's more of you I get to fall in love with. Part of the way your brain operates, Brittnee, and this is just downloading to me, is that when people love you, there's a part of your brain that goes, I wonder what they want. And it goes into defense mode. And it's not
That's
to be
so true.
And it's not to be in defense, it's to be in protective mode. Because again, we started off this conversation. How do I keep my money? How do I keep my customers? How do I keep my business? There's nothing you have to keep. There's nothing you have to let go. There's nothing you have to keep other than the love for yourself. There's nothing you have to let go but the love for yourself. Customers and money come, it's energy. It flows into consciousness and back out of consciousness. The few things you have control over, the one I think is paramount, is you falling back in love with you. Now, here's what's going to happen. You fall in love with you, and everybody that has an opinion about you is going to be challenged. And you're going to go back to thinking about you. Thinking about you serves no one. We're not smart enough to figure out how to have everything done for us, but we can fall in love with us. And funny how the universe lays itself at our feet. Let it out. That's not something you do on a regular basis.
It's like I'm laughing at myself because I'm listening and I'm digesting. And as soon as you said that, the first thing that popped into my head was like, how? And I was just like, why would I think that? Like, why? Why would I say how?
Right? It went from here, I'm falling in love with myself. How do I do that?
That's,
you know what your answer is?
It's been coming to me like, how do I do that? How do I do that? How?
So here's
like
the
this
answer.
whole time.
Here's the answer you need to tell your brain. I need you to say it word for word. When it asks, how do you do that? You say this, very well. Why do you ask?
Right. Very well. Why do you ask?
Because it has no answer after that. Love is love. There is no question about it. If you're thinking about how do I fall in love, it's not love. You're saying, how do I fall in lust? Right? How do I picture the 92-year-old and the 23-year-old guy standing next to each other, leaning on the boardwalk, and they see you walk by in your beautiful bikini, and the 23-year-old looks at you and goes, wow, damn. And the 92-year-old looks at you and says the same thing. The 92-year-old isn't 92 at the time he's looking at you. He's 23, and the 23-year-old is 23.
Yeah.
We change states. We go through life, and we constantly move ourselves in and out of different dimensions of non-universal truths of who we think we are. When you fall in love with yourself, you're in the now. And you're prepared for the next love. And now the universe says, wait a minute, there's just this valve that opened up. There's this vacuum that opened up in the universe that needs love, and more love pours into you. People are sending you hearts. People are sending you joy. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, where was all of this at? It was as close to your skin. It was as close as your skin. Everything we want is as close as our skin. It's one decision away. And when you decide to fall in love with you, you'll stumble, you'll trip, you're like an infant, which is instantly and easily and effortlessly growing into this amazing, beautiful woman. And when you fall in love with you, you will look different in the mirror. You will act different when people hear you. They're like, girl, did you get your hair done? Would you? And you're like, no. But they won't know. They're thinking something in the physical realm changed that they have to identify because it is so drastic. It is so, did you lose weight? Is that a new dress? Them new shoes? And they're going to have all of this stuff, and they're going to ask you all of these things, and you're going to try to identify, and you're going to try to have a conversation with them on their level. You just say, yeah, do you like it? You don't have to explain to them that you've changed on the inside, and they're trying to see the change. They're seeing the physical change on the outside.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're in love. And now the universe lays itself at your feet with all that you want, because it's been laying itself at your feet with all that you've ever wanted. That cycle of in and out of success and failure and success and failure, of love and relationships, of love and relationships. Now you just fall in love with you, and the universe can only bring to you what you love. It only brings to you ever what you ask for anyways. So now that you're falling back in love with yourself, who do you have to keep you on that path? Who do you have? Is there anybody that you can send a text to and you say something to the effect of, I'm falling in love with myself. Can you keep me on track?
Yes.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Because you now say, I deserve this.
I deserve this.
And what did your brain say?
Yes, you do. I think it's such a breakthrough because, as you know, I think a lot. And, throughout my life and relationships, I've asked myself, like, do I really love myself? I've asked myself that before. And I never had an answer. And I always say, if it's not a solid yes, it's a no. And I think all of that, years and years, all of that has led up to me finally being able to say, I did it, but I'm doing now. And I'm excited. I'm excited.
So what state of mind, what feeling would happen if your finances right now were doubled? What you had in the bank, what you had coming in, what if it was doubled? What would change?
Nothing.
Would a feeling of more freedom happen? Would you start to give more money away? Would you start to build that charity you've thought about or talked about, or donate to that organization?
Yeah, it's crazy because on Friday, well, not even just like over the past week, even though my finances aren't great, I've been giving.
So
Unsuspectedly.
let's rephrase that. Could your finances be worse?
Yes.
So then aren't they great? See, the
Yes.
universe gave you finances and you're going, well, they're not great. And it's like, well, screw you. We'll figure out how to get it on your own then.
Yeah. I also
We
had
have
to
to be
learn
careful.
gratitude.
We've got to be careful of the words we use.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying, and I'm saying that and there's another word that you say that allows you to like life a lot. Like.
Yeah.
When you listen to your conversations, you say like a lot. I would encourage you to change that to love.
I realized I was one of those people when you said that yesterday.
And you've done a lot better today. I don't know if it was conscious or subconsciously, but you made a decision because you use that word a whole lot less in this dialogue. I think it's because when you're in love, you don't like anything. You love everything. And so therefore that word of minimizing you, of lowering your expectations, because you don't want to like finances. You want to love your finances. You want to love the relationships you're in. You've been in a lot of like things. So I'd be aware of that. Thank you for paying attention to that. So now all of a sudden you're what's the feeling you have? You wake up tomorrow and everything is tripled. Your business is tripled. Your income in the bank is tripled. Your monthly income, your weekly income is tripled. It's 3 times what it is right now. What's
Grateful.
the feeling? Yeah, grateful. And what has to change to do that? If money's energy, might it make sense? Might it make sense? The universe can only give you as much as you're allowing in. So receiving might be a little bit of a challenge for Brittnee until receiving more love for you. And here's the funny thing. When we fall in love with ourselves and we start to do things, the things we want to do, the things we love to do, the things that bring us joy, the things that we would do without any money, you know what the universe decides to do? Well, if that's how much joy they're in, and we want to create a universe of absolute love and joy, and they're building, why am I on this platform that allows all of you souls to show up, that there's no way in the world we would have ever met without this profession? There's no way in the world we would have ever met without somebody connecting somebody, and somebody saying, you should be on these calls. These calls are pretty good. This guy, he's a nut job down in Texas, but every now and then he says something, he rubs two sticks together and he starts a fire in us. How is that possible? How am I so blessed to be given these gifts every day of somebody like you, of somebody like Monique, of somebody like Leslie Hebert, of somebody like Michelle and Karen Miller, of all of these people? What am I doing that God would bring all of these things to me? Because once it shows up, it goes right back out. I'm just a conduit. I'm not a reservoir. Reservoirs that don't have flow get stagnant. And part of this is that as this comes into you, you just said you started giving. You started giving on Friday. You started giving before. Whenever it was you started giving, look at the breakthrough that you were just given in 72 hours because you started giving. You now had space to receive this call.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I'm telling you, it happens like that every breath. When you give it away, you now have space to get more. You gave whatever little you had has been paid tenfold back. I'm getting the chills right now. Has been paid tenfold back, 100-fold back, because you gave a little space. You moved a little bit out of your comfort zone. You said, I have to do this. I get to do this. And the universe says, if you'll do that, I'll take care of you. I got your back, girl. And within 72 hours, you come to another awakening that was already inside of you.
So this is what grace and mercy feels like.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's
I'm
what
hysterical right now.
Isn't it crazy? And how hard did you have to work to do this? You had to open your mouth and ask a question. And your brain said, I don't know if this is on topic, because it was hoping it wasn't. Your brain was hoping it wasn't on topic and was hoping I was going to say, nah, no, you're right. That's not on topic. I'm going back to my stuff. But when
And
you're,
I don't even know why I would ask you that, because you would never say that.
I know, but that's your brain. That's, when you come to me, when you come to this energy called me, that we're going to have a dialogue no matter what.
Right.
And that's the brain going, well, you shouldn't be asking this question. This isn't on topic. You weren't saying that to me. You were saying that to you, so you wouldn't have asked the question.
I was trying to hinder doing the work. Like I was trying to run away from it.
Absolutely. But yet what drove you? Your heart. Your heart asked with love. Your heart asked with peace. Your heart asked with grace. And the challenge is, when you ask questions in those states, most people don't hear the grace with which you ask. They don't hear the love with which you asked. They hear a problem and they want to give you a solution. Most people don't realize the solution is always inside of you.
Right.
And now I hear a question and I can only answer from my state of mind. When I get out of my state of mind and I stay in my heart, all I do is ask you, so tell me more. Tell me more. What does that feel like? What does that sound like? And all of a sudden you come to this realization that it's okay for you to sit quietly and fall in love with you. I don't know who else you could ever fall in love with. I don't know who else would ever give you more. When you fall in love with you, as much as I already love you, and then you fall in love with you more, which now allows me to love you more. And in this love fest that we have of energy, you start to come to the realizations that you have been given clues since Friday of giving just a little bit away. Well, my finances aren't good. They were perfect enough to give what you gave so that you could receive grace and mercy again on this day. You deserve this. You are entitled to this. You are shedding this old story of this Iron Maiden who is absolutely steadfast in her world. Now imagine how strong you are standing in love, as opposed to carrying a veil around that. If somebody gets behind that, there's a world of hurt. There is no more hurt. There's only love. And everybody can take as much as they want from you, because now you're connected to your source, to where you'll always have enough. You don't have to worry about somebody taking the last bit of love that you have. You have an unlimited, enlightened supply of grace and mercy to hand to anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Whoa. I could go on and on and on with how the words grace and mercy have been tumbling around in my head, and how I would pick individual people and say, I must give them grace and mercy. Like I must. I have to, because I too want the same.
So what if the have to, right? People have to go to work. People have to wake up in the morning. What if you just changed the have to get?
Right.
I get to give mercy. Have to means you have a limited supply. Get to means you have an unlimited supply.
Right.
And now you're operating from your heart. Just a simple have to get. That change of word changes the way with which they receive this. I have to give you $5 because you're a bum on the street with a sign. No, I get to give you $20, and I wish you the best. I hope it's the $20 that changes your life.
Hey, Brittnee. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it. I really needed that this morning.
No problem. I'm glad that my transparency was able to
Oh, girl,
help.
you're just starting to be transparent.
I was going through the same thing as you were. So, I felt like I was all alone, and your story really inspired me. So I want to thank you.
So Brittnee, here's what's happening. Right, Brittney, hear this.
Call me out.
Yeah, exactly. I'll call you out. You know I love you. Trying being so transparent.
I can't. Everything you say is the truth, so I can't.
We just finally got like one layer of deep tint off the window. I think I see somebody in there. But here, I need your heart to hear this, Brittney. What you just went through, did you even know that telling your story could give grace and mercy to somebody?
On the surface level,
So,
yeah.
So here's the thing.
Especially in this environment.
You don't always have to be the one giving it for it to be received from you.
Right.
Karen was sitting here on this call, and because you showed up, you gave her a new lease on life, a new look on life. You had no idea in this story. You weren't doing it for the story, right? You weren't doing this going, oh, Karen's on here. Let me go be vulnerable today. That never crossed your mind. You know why it never crossed your mind? Because your brain can't think like that. Your heart thought like that. This whole thing may be just for Karen.
And you know what? Okay, so this is crazy. So I got on the call at 9 a.m. and Karen was on here. I was like, wait. Yeah, it was just Karen by herself.
That ain't crazy. Like, that's called coincidence.
Yes, I was like, let me double check. So I got on the mic and I was like, hey, like it's at 9:30, not at 9. Well, I was like, well, 8:30 Dallas time. And she didn't say anything. So I just left. And then
But look at how when we go back and we review the facts, how much we never even had to think about it. Our heart was guiding us the whole time. Our heart was guiding us the whole time. And now we look back and we go, that's crazy. And the heart's going, why do you keep calling me crazy? I'm your heart. I will guide you. Funny how when we look at the clues, Jim Rohn says, that's a clue. I love it.
I'm mind blown.
You should be. Well, finally, let's blow that mind up. Let's blow that mind up. Your mind is going, I don't know what the hell just happened. How did we get put in a scrambler? Because, and guess what? Your body feels better and the mind is blown up. The body feels better. The mind is blown up because when the mind is blown up, what takes over?
Not me, because I'm not in control anymore.
Exactly. The heart. The heart now says, oh, finally, what is, ooh, let's stretch our muscles a little bit here. Let's give another clue. Oh my God, yeah, Karen and I spoke at 9 o'clock, a half hour before the call is. And now here it is an hour later, 2 hours later, an hour and a half, yeah, an hour later, where you're going, well, yeah, Karen and I were the only ones on the call at 9 o'clock. What are you doing on the call at 9 o'clock? Because your hearts were drawn to each other. Oh, that's crazy. That's the mind talking. The heart's go, no, that's perfectly fine. You've already had this. You already had it before the call started. You get it, girl?
Yeah.
You know how to listen to your heart. But your brain went, attention, everybody, Kmart special. This starts at 9:30 Eastern time, 8:30 Central time. No response. Okay, doors closed. Isn't it crazy when you look at it and go, that's exactly what happened. My brain went out and said, you're not following the rules. What am I doing here? I don't even know why I'm here at 9 o'clock.
I did it because I'm like, I know it's at 9:30.
But you showed up, you click the button. The heart goes, click the button. I need to show something to you an hour later. Click the button. Like, son of a biscuit eater. You click the button, you show up and you go, oh, somebody's here. Hey, Karen's here. Let me let her know that she's being silly. Karen, it starts in a half hour. You're here early. And she's like, she probably wasn't even in the room.
Right.
But yet your brain had to go, you got to make sure you correct the situation. What do you have to do with when she gets on the call? Your heart showed up and went, I love the world. And this is going to be an important relationship. And you're going to come back to it here in just a little bit. But we're going to let the brain take over because the heart is the greatest servant in the world. And when the brain shows up and goes, it's 9:30, not 8:30, you dumba. And all of a sudden your heart goes, as you wish. And then you show up going, I don't know why I'm trying to protect everything. As you wish. And then you fall in love with yourself. You take a few breaths and you realize you're the one, your heart set the incense, not your brain. The tea was made by your heart, not by your brain. You knew how by the brain, but your heart is the one that said, let's have some tea right now. The brain doesn't care. The brain's not there for nourishment. Right. The brain is there for the process. And the heart says, I want tea. And the brain goes, okay, we've made tea before. That's in our pattern. We could do that. We can get on the call at 9:30 when we're supposed to. I'm not going to tell anybody I got on at 9 because I don't want to be like an idiot. And then all of a sudden, the relationship of Karen coming out saying, I needed you today. You know how many Karens there are in the world that need you today? Only by your example, not by your dialogue. Oof.
I feel happy.
Happy is a heart feeling, not a brain feeling. Fine. And you said, I feel. You didn't use the words, I think I feel. That's what you were saying in the beginning. I think.
Wow, progress. Oh my God, so quickly. I love it.
And we love you. Thank you for being a wildly amazing example. And this is what happens. This is what happens when you get into the moment. Because the second you start a thought, the moment is gone. The thought no longer exists. Now you're projecting into the future, and there is no future. There's only a future now, and the future now is a future thought of a past memory, and it's like back and forth, and it's freaking exhausting. In this moment, I choose joy or I choose misery. I choose joy. And in 45 minutes, we've been able to do something that you've struggled with for a while. But here's the thing. We did it. You did all the work.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I would remember that. You did the work. You showed up. Your heart put you in front of this and challenged your brain at every possible level. and you still showed up. And you showed up in love, and you showed up in vulnerability, and you showed up in peace. And your brain kept trying to tell you, what are you doing? And then Karen came on to confirm your heart, because she needed to. She wanted to say, thank you. And you're like, thank you for what? I was just talking. Because you showed up, because you fell in love with yourself. And it started at 9 o'clock, and you didn't even know why. You've been waiting to fall in love with yourself for a long time, and you did it just now. And guess what? You can fall deeper and deeper and deeper in love. And in doing so, the world falls at your feet in love with you, because they now get to love themselves too. This is what we get to do. This is the business we're in. This is the profession we're in. Professional people, awakeners, builders, lovers, encouragers, showing up earliers. It only takes a breath. Choose in that breath what you breathe in. Choose in that breath what you need to remove, what you need to send out. Thoughts, comments, feedback, questions. If you got a question, raise your hand. I'd love to. What did this conversation do for you today?
Hi, Sean. Sorry for
Karen.
I was going through the exact same thing. She doesn't know how much powerful that really, really resonate for me. Like, I was self-doubting myself. I was like putting myself down. Like you said, I'm not good enough. I don't love myself enough. All those lovely negative voices that come to us. I've struggled with that most of my life. And that really, really, like, I'm just about in tears just listening to it. And it's hard to get me in tears. I always think to myself, okay, I asked a weird question because I'm so inquisitive about, I'm just out of the norm. So I gotta thank you, Sean, for last week's training. This is not me at all. We had to go grocery shopping. There was a guy with an empty store here that could sign up about hairdressing. I went up to him and used the same language as you taught us on the training. Holy crap, his eyes just went like, and I got his number. I handed him my cell phone and he wrote his number down. And I'm going, and then I got in a conversation with a lady in the grocery store. She was on Weight Loss Watchers and was telling her about our program. That was 2 in 1. It was like a bad day. It started out a bad day, turned into 2 good things. I just had to share that. I just had to share that.
and Karen, remember, ILT, right? Ray talks about invest, learn, train, or invest, learn, teach. And you did that. You invested in listening to it. You learned it, and you went and taught it to yourself. We went and taught it to ourselves. The best way to learn something is to become a good teacher of it.
Yeah.
And so congratulations. I want your subconscious to hear this, because I kind of know where you live, out in the middle of God's land. And there's not a whole lot of people who are on your team that get to say thank you or congratulations. So I want to say, I'm on your team. I'm on Team Karen. Congratulations. You did it. You changed some old habits, and you're making the world smile, because when somebody gets around you, Karen, their world is better. And part of your subconscious says, well, yeah, but you're not good enough. You're good enough. You make people smile. They give you their number. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
John.
Hey, good morning, Steph.
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to say real quick, I find it always so mind blown how the universe is literally giving you what you need in the moment, because that topic today is literally what I'm working on right now, to love myself more. Like, I've been reading this book, like I put it in the chat, it's called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And I've been reading that the past week, and I just, love the message it brings. And it gives exactly the same exercise you just talked about. It's like, breathe in and tell yourself, I love myself. And it's just, I just love how everything always comes in full circle. It's It always blows me away.
So quick question, left hand dominant or right hand dominant?
Right hand.
And that's your right hand on your neck?
Yes.
So what are you afraid of right now? Because you're protecting your carotid artery. You don't ever sit and have that conversation with me with your hand on your neck.
Okay.
That's where your hand normally is. So tell me what you're afraid of right now, because you're protecting your artery. That's right. That's where that gets cut, you're dead. And so you're talking about loving yourself. That's the main artery that goes to the brain, that goes to the heart. Right now you're doing yourself to feel that. And maybe you're just loving yourself more, but there's something that's fearful right now that you're covering up. You're protecting that thing that goes between your head and your brain. What's the story you're hearing?
What I'm fearing right now is to lose the person that I want to be with, and finding out maybe it's just not meant to be.
Okay. So if they go away, what gets lost in you? Part of a story, part of an expectation. How much of them is needed to make you whole?
Part of me knows like I only need myself to be whole, but
Right.
part of me knows that,
But there's a story that says you need somebody else to complete the puzzle.
yeah, and especially for someone that you've been wanting to be with for 5 years, you finally have it, you got a glimpse of what's possible, and
Mhm.
then it seems to be taken away, and you just
So trust me, I understand relationships. I can't put myself in your shoes. I can say I comprehend it, but let me ask you this. You said something, you had a glimpse of somebody. What if that glimpse was somebody called you? What if that glimpse was to say, you can be happy because it's you that makes you happy, not the other person. That's just the story we use to give ourselves permission to be happy. Nobody can upset you without your permission. What's the other thing? What's the converse to that? Nobody can make you happy without your permission.
I was even saying that because a friend of mine gave me a speech yesterday saying exactly the same thing, that things only happen to me because I allow them to happen. I allow people for me to feel pain, for me to be hurt, because I allow them to do that to me.
Well, and it's not that we allow them, it's that we that's the only thing we can do. It's not that we're going, okay, you hurt me. It's just a pattern. Listen, a year ago, I wasn't in your pattern, was I?
No, and I'm grateful that changed.
So, but it's not, and all we've ever done is you've made me better. Wait a minute, what? Did he say that wrong? You've made me better. That's because I heard you go, wait a minute, I didn't, what the heck? I said that wrong.
You even know like how much you made me better.
But the only way you can get better is by you doing what for me? Can I take away anything that you've taught me? Can I take away anything I've shared with you? Your new awareness is a suitcase full of Sean moments and Steph moments. Who owns those moments?
Me?
You do. The moments that you've had with this person for 5 years, who owns those moments? Let's go back to Brittnee this morning. If you're in a state of sadness, in a state of fear, in a state of doubt, what is the universe going to bring to you?
More of that.
So what if you got into a state of, in this moment, you're sitting in this beautiful room, you've got this beautiful hair, you've got these amazing tears, you've got this incredible smile, you've got this beautiful heart, you've got this sexy body, you've got these incredible tattoos, you've got that one nail that I'm seeing as just like this brilliant white color. There you go. You've got you've got these amazing nails. How many people would literally give everything they have to be sitting where you're at right now, just in the environment?
I know.
So in this environment it looks pretty freaking awesome, it's absolute misery because you're having an argument with a thought in your head.
And I was told actually yesterday to me fearing something, like I'm living in the future because I'm fearing something that I don't even know what's going to happen.
Very few people have ever lived the future they imagined.
Yeah, that's what I meant with like everything like coming full circle. It's just,
So being in this moment, right here, right now, what could you do right now to put a smile back on your face, to be in love back with you? Because right now you're going, see, this is everything that's happened to me from childhood. I've fallen in love with things and it's been taken away from me. I've lost them, and it's repeating, and it's a cycle. And folks, this is what every one of us goes through every single time. This is what I deal with on a daily basis in my life. And the sooner we recognize it, the sooner we can go, oh, isn't that funny? So what would change your state right now? Tell me something joyous that happens through you on a regular basis. What do people fall in love with Steph for? What do people laugh with you about? What do you make people laugh about?
just being me, my authenticity.
Yep. So what's your authenticity? So are you being authentic right now in this vulnerable state?
Yeah.
Because you're inspiring others to go, oh my gosh, I've been there. I'm there right now. Mine is called something different. So in this state, what can you do to change? So right now, in this moment, you have a choice, joy or misery. Now, it may be just, can I get to less misery, and then less misery, and less misery, and then to numb, and then to joy? What would be a joyous moment to think about in this moment? What would bring you joy? Not saying the rest isn't all important. So when you deal with whatever is happening on the outside world, what state of mind would you like to deal with it in, joy or misery?
Joy.
So how do we get you to joy? Happy.
Who else? No.
So tell me a funny German joke.
I don't know any jokes.
But what allowed you to laugh right then? Just a moment of laughter. What part of you laughed right then?
My heart.
Mm-hmm. So who do you think loves you that you're talking to?
You.
Yep. How is that possible? How can we fall in love with each other at such a level, such a cosmic level, that my heart hurts for you? Not my brain, because it's all a story. And who knows what we'll say 5 years from now? Oh, so glad that happened, or not. Don't know what the story is going to be 5 years from now, but right now, my heart is saying, is connecting with you, is reaching out to you at a cosmic level in whatever little town that you're in, wherever you're at. And it's melding with yours to say, this isn't your normal state. This is your brain telling you a story. This is you getting hurt with expectations. So I'm curious, what's the tattoo that's on that finger on the right hand? What's that tattoo say that you keep showing me?
That says, inhale love, exhale hate.
Well, so why do you keep showing that to me? Because you're like this the whole time, and you're like this the whole time. So why don't you, maybe it's trying to tell your brain. Inhale love. And it's not even, see, and you see what? It's that one that's doing that. It's that one that's doing that. Inhale love. It's not, the exhale hate is all the way out here.
Wow.
Girl, you tell me what to tell you. I just pay attention to the clues.
Wow.
I'm so glad you have yourself tatted up so that I know how to help you.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So what would it mean to inhale love? Let's do it. Let's just try it. Just hold that hand right there. Leave it right there so that everything filters through that. Inhale love. Exhale whatever's not love. Inhale all the love here. You guys throw some hearts up for her. Inhale all the love we're sending you. Tell me what you're feeling in your body right now.
Gratitude.
We need our tribe, girl. We need our tribe. We need our tribe. I need every one of you. And every one of you are so very important. I giggle because this is the number of folks that are normally on the calls that connect. These weekend folks, you guys are the bedrock. You're the ones going, I ain't missing it. I'm going to show up because there's something going to be there. So inhale some more love. You notice where your hand is now? It's not on your neck anymore. Baby, listen, I love you. Who you are speaks so loud. I don't need to hear what you're saying. You are such an empath. You are so vulnerable in the world, right? Your hair that's so curly, it's kind of like a cushion. It's kind of like a filter to try to filter things going into that beautiful brain of yours. Thanks, Karen. You have an amazing day, you incredible soul. You number getter, you. How you feeling now?
I'm just grateful right now.
So now hear this. Who created this space? And I want you to say, I did. You did. You created this space.
Did I?
You had to. I couldn't. I just show up. You're the one that created the space. You're the one in loving, in allowing me to love you. You created space. You had to let me in today. You had to create the space for me, because if you don't create the space for me, for this entity that's called me, for this energy that flows through me, for the Holy Spirit that shows up with me, if you don't let me in, I can't get in. There's some people on the call from time to time, I speak and they write down great notes, but it bounces off of them. You let this in. And in this state of letting us in, you created the space to have more of what you want and less of what you don't. The word grateful comes across because you were grateful before, you just didn't call it that as you were going through the misery and the pain and the expectations. You said, I choose not to have more of that. I choose to focus on something new. I made the decision to let this goofy guy in Dallas, I have no idea how he connects with me at such a level. It's because we've known each other for eons. You don't have this level of love and commitment and honor and respect with somebody you meet over a phone call. Yet we're all connected. We are all connected. At every moment. When Heather was going through prison, when Heather was going through that scenario, we were all with her.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Say thank you, Steph.
Steph.
See, isn't it crazy? I love you.
Love you too. And I love myself.
Yes. Good morning, Jesse. I see your hand up.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Outstanding.
So I wanted to share this because everything that Brittnee and I think Karen and Steph just shared, I had to put myself through it. And I remember the last time I raised my hand and I asked for help, I was in a very vulnerable state, and you told me, like, you heard it in my voice. So since that day, I've been, I put myself in that vulnerable moment and I let that guard down. And I just wanted to share with every single person that shared today that even though it feels so uncomfortable and you feel so lost, and even if your mind tells you or questions you, like, how are you going to do it? Like, it's like Sean said, don't worry about the how. You just have to love yourself because even though Noah's not on this call, him and I, we actually had to put our both of us in a vulnerable state because we were very unhappy. But it wasn't that we were unhappy with being together. We were unhappy with ourselves because we wouldn't let go of our old story in our past. So for me, what helped me was I went back to the state of when was the last time that I felt happy. Like, forget the trauma, forget the pain, forget all of that. When was the last time that I actually felt happy? And for myself, I went back to that 18-year-old you know, in high school, worry free, and I and I let myself feel and be in that moment again. But what also helped me build my confidence was I wrote a list of 100 things that I love about myself. So the minute that I don't feel like I'm on a high vibration or those negative thoughts start happening to me again on not allowing people to help me or not allowing people to love me, or I start being, you know, my hardest critic on myself, I go back to that list and I remind myself that, you know, joy is possible for me. Because for me, and you know, everything that I've gone through since I was a child, it's always either been something traumatic or something sad. And once I let go of that old story, it was literally a feeling of like chains being released from my ankles and my wrist. So I know Steph said about, you know, that question of who you're with and stuff. You just literally have to find yourself first, because if you don't find yourself first or love yourself first, you can't love anyone else. And I thank Noah for telling me that, because he was always my constant reminder of, if you don't love yourself, I can't love you. You can't codepend on me to love you if you're unhappy with yourself. And I fully didn't understand that back then until now, until I let my guard down, until I I literally did take that next level to understand and fully live by this statement that my higher self loves me unconditionally. It's just my mind that keeps telling me, but I need to listen to my heart more, because you know, you at the end of the day, you just have to put joy first. If you make joy a priority, and
I,
everything else starts aligning, and that negative energy um that keeps that keeps popping up in your everyday life, it will slowly go away. And I just wanted to share that, because I remember feeling what you guys felt. And yeah, like once you guys overcome that, you guys are going to feel so much better, and you guys are just going to be guided to the right path. And at the end of the day, it's just going to be a beautiful feeling. And I love every single person on this call. And
Jesse, you go, girl. You're a whole beast. And here's the thing. When people say I'm breaking through and you'll have no idea what it feels like, I got to let you know. I got to let you in on a secret. You know that moment. I want you all to think about this. And Brittnee, I want you to think about this. You know that moment when you wake up in bed and you realize you're awake and you're just about ready to crack your eyes and you're about ready to awaken to the world? That's where you're at. You haven't even started to stretch yet. I promise you, I've been there. I've been working on this for 30 years. And when Jessie shares that with me and she says, I had to go through this and I began to love myself. And it's like, well, but yes. Now, the hard part is when somebody we honor, respect, and love tells us you need to love yourself more, it's more of an interrogation. But when we can get through it and when we can start to fall in love with ourselves and we start to fall in love with the idea, I promise you, when you start to begin this process and you start to say, I love me, Bob Proctor said it one time on stage, he goes, I love me, I can't get enough of me. you start to fall in love with you. And all of a sudden, this heart begins to stretch. It's literally the Grinch heart. And you make more space for it, and you give away, you give money to somebody at a charity, and it begins to stretch more, and you give more money, it begins to stretch more. You give more time and more energy. Do you know why I get to do these calls? So I can show up for a Steph, so I can show up for a Brittnee, so I can show up and let a Jesse speak, and let a Ralph show up and mention his comment, and a Michelle to say, that's right, because all this is a space of energy. It's a pool. And we get to all go swimming in this pool called life. And if it's fun, we'll all jump in. And somebody like Steph shows up and she's treading water in the deep end. And we all rush out to help her. And we lift her up. She's still the one that has to do the breathing. She's still the one that has to do the designing and the dividing and the digesting and all of that stuff. All we can do is help hold her up for a second. You still have to live your life. And when you live it, you get into this pool of this safe place that says, breathe in love. Life is meant to be fun.
Can I make a comment about stretching?
Sure.
I signed up for an exercise class and was told to wear loose fitting clothing. My brain goes, if I had any loose fitting clothing, I wouldn't have signed up to begin with. So what do? I tell myself, one of these days I'm going to look back on all this and laugh. So I'm starting now.
There you go. Right now. Jesse, okay, your hand was up. That's anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, that's all. I just wanted to share that because after I overcame that part of my life and that vulnerability, like I just feel phenomenal. I tell everyone every day, I feel phenomenal. That word is my favorite word now. And I'm just excited for the future.
Look at that smile. There's an excited for the future face. There we go. I love you. Thank you, Jesse. Brittnee, how you feeling, girl?
I just, as soon as she said that, I was like, I feel phenomenal. Like, she said it. It's like,
oh, there's the enemy cutting out her signal.
You hear me?
Now we hear you. Yes.
Okay. I said, I was in my.
Y'all hear that? As soon as she goes to tell us the feeling, the signal cuts out. Say one more time, my love. I ain't giving up on you. Say one more time.
Okay, here we are.
Yes.
I was connected to the car Bluetooth. So I said, unfortunately, I was really in my head while she was speaking, but I already know that I'm going to watch the replay on YouTube. And I'm just like very excited. Like, I'm so excited to watch this every single night before I go to sleep, every single day when I wake up after you and Nano's call, so that I can like remain on the frequency. And I already, like, while I was getting ready to head out to the store, I was like, I love myself. And
yes,
I even started kissing my hands.
Yes. I'm going to send you some kisses.
But I just want to say thank you guys so much. And it's just, it's mind blowing how one thing leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to all back to like love, you know?
Bingo. Oh, yeah. Brittnee, listen, the word I was wanting you to get to, the word I kept hearing, I didn't say it. You just said it now. I said earlier, when you listen to the recording, I said, there's a word that we need to get to. I never said it. You just said it now. It all leads back to love.
Absolutely.
Yes, girl. Ooh, there's more kisses.
I love it. I love it. I used to be a love hater. Like, I used to hate it so much, but yeah. I realized that what it is, that I've just been a student of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to conquer it instead of just feeling it, which we discovered today.
Bingo. I wanted to conquer it. And when you conquered it, then it would be a slave and it wouldn't work anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I'd love to see your walk right now. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Like I am really excited. I'm so excited.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, everybody. Love you guys so much.
Love you too, Brittnee. Hey, Steph. Don't go away from us.
I'm here.
I know you're here.
I just had to what Rolf just said in the chat. Like I've been working on my whiteboard, and I already put on something that Jessie said earlier. She said that there's no limit to growth and expansion that is possible for me. And I actually wrote that on my whiteboard. And what Ralph just said, I'm going to put that on there as well. He said, "You're beautiful, alive, and your future is bright." So I'm going to write that on my board as well as a reminder.
Yeah, funny how we needed that as a reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Breathe in love. If I ever got a tattoo, that might be the one I'd get.
And it's crazy because like I got this like so many years ago. I think
Yep.
it's like 2008 or something.
How's it working for you?
And that's the thing, like sometimes I keep forgetting that I have it, and I really consciously have to look at it and remind myself what it says. Because I don't really see it since it's like on the outside of my hand.
Yeah.
So I forget about it.
So
And then if you ask me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
you have no idea how that just developed a whole new training. We have it, but it was on the outside. We don't always see it. Sometimes it might help to look in the mirror.
Yep.
I love you.
I love you too.
Well, and that's funny. We only got through 4 questions on this book. It's never the questions. It's never the questions. It's never the content.
And what I love is you never know what's gonna happen, because I didn't expect this to happen. Like I just wanted to share my thoughts, and then this whole thing opened up. So
But when we step out of our head and into our heart, the world will deliver instantly and effortlessly all that we look for. I love what we get to do. What was that thing I was supposed to text my person? I'm falling in love. Yes, I'm falling more in love with myself. Will you keep me on track? Right? All you want them to do is keep the bumpers up on the bowling alley. You just don't want to go back in the gutter. Will you keep me on track? Ask them to send you a text twice a day. Are you loving yourself? Have you fallen more in love with you? And all they do is copy and paste, and they just send that. They don't have to send anything else. There you go, folks. What an amazing Sunday morning. What a great call for me to watch again. So I get to be the observer. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all tell each other you love yourselves. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits, and I'll see y'all where? At the next event.
Take care, everyone. I just celebrated my 39th yesterday. Take care, everyone.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
To you. Love you guys. Love you, Misfits.
Yes, love you all as well. Have a wonderful day.
Everybody have a blessed one.
I love you
Love
guys.
you,
Have a wonderful
everyone.
day.
Love y'all. Okay, y'all. Have a blessed tomorrow morning, bright and early. Bushy
Eat a
tail.
whole beast.
Eat a whole beast.
You know, a whole beast.
Love y'all.
Love you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.